Have you heard of Armored Core? Armored Core is a mech action game released in 1998 by From Software. Armored Core has had representation on every single console generation since. When the topic of this video was announced, I actually hadn't gotten into Armored Core as a franchise yet. I was already an avid fan of FromSoft, but my first game, like most people, was Dark Souls. I had heard about Armored Core from friends and online discussion, and obviously, I'm a huge fan of mech, but for whatever reason, I just never ended up looking into the games. That all changed at the end of 2022, when Armored Core 6 was announced. Armored Core 6 was my first impression of the franchise, but not because I played it first. When I say that I never looked into Armored Core as a franchise, I mean it. The only thing I knew about Armored Core is mechs and From Software. So when I was watching the 2022 Game Awards and the Armored Core 6 trailer played, that was my first introduction to Armored Core as a franchise. However, I felt going into Armored Core 6 completely blind didn't feel right. While I didn't know it at the time, Armored Core as a franchise had 15 games released before Armored Core 6. So I felt it was only right to go back to the old generations and see what I missed. Now, early on, I decided I didn't want to play every single old Armored Core game. There's 15 of them, and that's a pretty huge time commitment, especially because I had a time limit of Armored Core 6's release. So I decided to at least get a taste of every single generation, so I played all of the numbered games within the franchise. Obviously, I have my own thoughts and opinions on the older Armored Core games as well, and maybe I'll make a video on the older generations at some point, but today I want to talk about Armored Core 6. And it's because it's the best one in the series. It's just the best. I think the moment that really reinforced in my mind that this game was something special is the mission Attack the Watch Point. If you're unfamiliar with Armored Core, most of the games have you playing as a mercenary that is oftentimes hired by corporations to do less savory work. So the missions you take early on are usually you just fighting against people who have no funding, no infrastructure. They're essentially fending for themselves. And up to this point, Armored Core 6 is no different, and the start of Attack the Watch Point is about the same as well. Eventually though, you are confronted by an AC pilot named Sula. During the fight with Sula, he seems to show a lot of familiarity with your handler Walter,
619 and 620. Dead?
Who up to that point we hardly know anything about. Outside of that, the fight itself is pretty decent, and when you beat him, he warns Walter to
stay away from the watch point.
Now, this could be a death rattle of someone who didn't get their way in battle, but it's interesting to note nonetheless. Anyway, our objective is to destroy the control center of the watch point, so that's what we do. Of course, right after that, a huge surge of coral. For context, coral is the abundant resource on Rubicon, and it's the reason that all the corporations are here fighting. Erupts, seemingly killing 621. And I'm gonna just show you what happens next.
Augmented human C4621. Vital signs confirmed. Disabling autopilot. Establishing comms link with him.
Raven. I've identified an approaching enemy. I'll synchronize with your brainwaves and maintain contact to support you.
Everything about this introduction to the Balteus fight, the music, the presentation of Balteus itself, Air cutting off the comms to Walter, and so then it's Air and 621 working together to take down Balteus. Just everything about this moment is so perfect, and it showcases exactly why I love this game so much. This fight isn't even alone in being as memorable as it is. Even the opening mission, Illegal Entry, has you going to a battlefield where a bunch of destroyed ACs are in order to find a title so that you can operate on Rubicon. Because you're a nameless AC with the designation C4621, you don't have the credentials to operate on Rubicon. You strike out on the first few titles that you find, but the fourth title seems to be good, except while Walter is going over it, you're confronted by a massive attack helicopter. And once you destroy that helicopter, the title information pops up, and your call sign is going to be
Raven. That's your new name here on Rubicon.
This is exactly why I wanted to play the older Armored Core games. For those unfamiliar with Armored Core, Raven is the name given to the independent mercenaries throughout the series from the first game. And in fact, in the first game, the mediator that coordinates all of the mercenaries is called the Raven's Nest. Raven is an incredibly important name in the franchise of Armored Core, and to see it here like this is just perfect. Another standout mission early on is to destroy a giant weaponized mining ship. This mission stands out because of the sheer scale of what you're doing. The mission takes place on a vast desert. You're climbing up and down on the platforms of this giant ship, and when you do destroy it, you need to get away quickly, otherwise you get caught in the explosion. There's Operation Wall Climber, where you get introduced to Rusty, the best character in the game.
You must be Raven. One of the infamous handler Walter's hounds.
And all of these missions are just in Chapter 1. Chapter 2 features the first Cora weapon you fight, Sea Spider, and while that is the only memorable mission from Chapter 2, it's just because Chapter 2 is quite short. It's like 4 missions long. Chapter 3 has Attack the Refueling Base, where you take on a duo from the PCA Special Forces, and in this mission you can start seeing Rubicon think that something's off about you.
You're a real troublemaker, Raven. I didn't expect this level of resistance, sir. Code 44, requesting intelligence review. Observations found to contradict briefing.
There's the fight against Cataphract, which once again shows that the people of Rubicon are starting to suspect that you aren't who you say you are.
Code 44, send me what you've got on priority target Raven. The combat simulator and the lead me. Who are you?
Code 44 received. Sending data. That AC does not match the profile for priority target Raven. Verification failed.
Code 18, whoever this is not Raven.
Attack the Old Spaceport has you teaming up with Rusty to take on a couple more PCA officers, and it also teases the last mission of Chapter 3, Destroy the Ice Worm.
I'm picking up something. I've sent you a marker. There's something there. It's underground.
What is that thing?
Destroy the Ice Worm is probably my single most favorite mission in the entire game. Destroy the Ice Worm is a joint operation between the two major corporations that are on Rubicon, as well as one major faction. These people would be enemies in any other context, but they're all here for one common goal. This mission also features the greatest moment from the entire game.
Primary shield disabled.
Shield loss confirmed. Initializing ORC firing sequence. Connecting EML modules. Opening energy turbines. Output at 80%. Sighting correction A-OK. 90, 95. I won't miss.
Secondary shield down.
Look, I'll admit it. Destroy the Ice Worm is ultimately a gimmick fight. You hit the worm with the stun needle launcher until the shield is gone, and then Rusty fires the railgun, rinse repeat until the mission's done. But it's hard to describe how I felt when I first saw that railgun shot from Rusty. Chris Hackney is the English voice actor for Rusty, and especially here, he absolutely crushed the role. I'm actually quite sad that the general perception of Armored Core 6 is an action game first and story game second, because honestly, the story of Armored Core 6 is so incredibly well done, but I guess just because it was mostly done via voice acting and there's no real life people in the game, the general perception is just that it's not quality. The game deserves absolute praise for its writing and its performances, and I can only hope that history looks more favorably on them than when the game originally came out. Obviously, there are plenty of people that already acknowledge these performances as great, but I just think that they deserve more praise than they actually got. Anyway, all that aside, I'm gonna go ahead and stop talking about the missions. There are just so many incredible standout moments that I could sit here and talk about all of them, but then I would just tell you every single mission in the game, and at this point I think you should just play the game for yourself if I've sold you on it. It has some of the best voice acting I've ever seen in a game. The world building feels like nothing else. The gameplay feels like nothing else. The only games that feel like Armored Core 6 are the older Armored Core games. Armored Core 6 is special to me. It forced me to familiarize myself with the other major franchise that From Software made before Dark Souls. If you're still undecided about whether or not you should play Armored Core 6, then let me make the decision for you. You should play Armored Core 6. It was hands down my favorite game of 2023, and it looks like FromSoft has increased their volume of releases, so I can only hope that Armored Core is going to be coming back real soon. Thank you for watching.